Hey up, Danny. How you doing, man?
Mummy! Mummy!
Are you my mummy?
Parent! Yeah, that's... You were expecting that, folks, I'm sure. But yeah, we're doing Doctor Who again.
Yes, we're always going to be doing Doctor Who. There's like a million series of Doctor
Yeah.
Who. We'll be doing Doctor Who until the sun goes out.
Lewis, what season are we on now? Hopefully we'll have actually... acting will have picked up again and we'll have jobs in Doctor Who and we can spoil it all for you and make a ton of money. No.
Oh god, that reminds me. Not about acting or about spoiling things. Well, kind of about spoiling things. You know TNG?
Yeah.
In the first season of TNG, there was like an engineer. He's like this bloke with a beard, and he played the chief of engineering. And they really liked him, and they're going to have him as like a regular character in the sort of main core characters sort of thing. And then as the episodes were airing on TV, before like the press had like details of what was going to happen in next week's episodes, and they were like, how the hell are they getting this information out? What's going on here? And it was Beardy Bloke. He was leaking information and scripts, and so they fired him. That just sprung to mind because he was in an episode of Star Trek I watched the other
Did he
day.
make a lot of money from it?
I have no idea. I have to imagine not.
I mean, the only reason you would ever do that is to make money. Like, if you hated the show you were on, I would, if I hated the show and like this newspaper offered me like fucking millions of pounds to spoil it, I would have been like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I suppose you'd never work again though.
Yeah, but if you get paid millions of pounds, why would you bother?
You get millions of pounds? What's going to happen in next week's episode?
No.
Of
I'm
Star Trek
saying,
Next Generation? I'll give you £3 million.
No, I'm saying that if that was the offer, if it was money where I would never need to work again, then I would take it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not if it was like $2,000 or something like that. It's
But if it was two million,
$2,000 a word. Hi, $2,000 done.
yes, Danny.
buy a
Anyway,
MacBook
have we got an opening
again.
statement about this week's episode?
Well, I'm going to do the credits first, Lewis. Okay.
Oh, fine,
I
all right.
mean-
I'll sit here and sip my
See?
lemonade and wait for you.
There's a method to my mat. You were quite keen to jump over my tangent there, but it had a purpose. Okay.
Did it?
No. This episode is called The Empty Child, and it was written by Stephen Moffat. Yeah, that cunt. And it was...
You say that
Yeah.
cunt. If he was the showrunner on something that you went to audition for, and he's just sat there behind the
What a
desk,
cunt.
and when you go into audition, and he's just looking at you, glaring at you, and you're like, "Hello, Mr. Moffat.
Yeah, I know.
Give me a part, please."
I mean, I've already been in Doctor Who, so I don't... but yeah,
Oh God, yeah, you haven't you?
yeah, but I don't know if you... I mean, Peter Capaldi was in it, and then he became the Doctor. So that's what I tell myself before I go to bed every night. You can be the Doctor someday, Daniel. They'll explain it in some sort of... I know why I chose this face, because of a... it's something to do with a Scottish picked warrior. Oh, it's a big series arc.
What was that thing? We were working on 4 O'Clock Club at the same time as that episode aired, and someone called you, what was it, Senor Squiggly Face or something? And I remember at the time I was just wetting myself laughing. Just every time I looked at it, I was just like, "Oh yes, Senor Squiggly
Yeah,
Face."
laughing at my ancestral cultural heritage. But,
Oh, for God's sake!
it was directed by James Hawes, and it is starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper, John Barrowman, and Florence Hoth.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it is. Do you have an opening statement?
Yes, an extremely enticing opener by a writer that has fantastic one-off episodes in him. I look at the horror of war and how it has a tendency to make human beings empty.
Indeed. I love this fusion of sci-fi and horror. So spooky! Plus, the setting's obviously emotive, powerful for storytelling. It's one of my strongly held opinions. I think sci-fi and horror go hand in hand. Much better than fantasy and horror or other things. I think sci-fi and horror, they mesh really well together. Some of my favourite episodes are like Star Trek, are the sort of the horrific ones.
Yeah.
Like, I've been watching a lot of Star Trek recently, and can't you just tell from how much I'm talking about it? But yeah, like there's one episode of TNG where they all sort of start devolving into like Riker turns into like a proto-human and all this sort of stuff, and it's horrifying to see a man who's like half spider.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's horrible.
That is horrible.
But it's the sci-fi horror, they really go well together, and it works well here as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's something terrifying about just a sort of killer on a spaceship, because there's literally nowhere else you can go, you know? Not that has anything to do with what's going on in this episode, but Stephen Moffat, yeah, he's been really clever in that. That's my first note.
Is he being clever?
Well, see, the thing is, he isn't in this episode, which means that it's good. If that makes sense.
Couldn't agree more.
See, when he's being clever and really, really pushing the envelope on cleverness, that's when he's most insufferable, I think. Because he's not worried about a story or an interesting idea. Yeah. He's worried about being so smart and like outsmarting the audience and all that. And it's just really boring.
I think when you get to a point where you're a writer and trying to outsmart, be it other people in the writing room or the audience or whoever it is, that's when you start to lose it, sort of thing. I think you have to just write a good story for the sake of writing a good story.
Yes.
Like, famously, Lost, which I never watched. Have you ever watched Lost?
I've watched some of it. I know the ending was shit or something like that.
Yeah, the ending was supposed to be horrendous. And the reason the ending was horrendous was they wrote this ending originally. They wrote the final series, and then they were trawling through the forums on the Lost website, and they saw that a thread of people had figured out how the show was going to end from pre-existing clues. So they rewrote the entire final series, and that's why the ending was so shit. I mean,
that's so bad.
Yes, it's horrendous is what it is.
But if someone... say you're a showrunner, right, and someone figures out the ending to your story that you've been carefully building for years and years, do you carry on with it? Or do you just change everything arbitrarily and then make it shit? No, you just stick to the plan. And then the people that
carry on with it, 100%.
The people that guessed it can just feel happy with themselves. It literally harms no one. Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh, good old weirdos. Anyway, right. I've got a note. I forgot how creepy the mask stuff is. It's one of those things that it's something that's very ever present in sort of British society. And I mean, I don't know about your school trips when you were growing up, but for us, we had a lot of school trips to like places that talked about World War II quite a lot. Like we had because I think quite close to where I went to school, there was this sort of I don't know what the word is, airbase? I suppose that's the word for it. The RAF Cosford. It's within like a reasonable drive time of my school when I was growing up. So we used to go there quite a few times during school and learn about World War II. So it's something that, I don't know, at least for me, it's quite forward in my view of the world. It's something that I'm very aware of. So I think that's what makes this even more horrifying, is it's something that I'm very aware of, and it's like, yeah, okay, this is already horrible. Yeah. In the Blitz and starving children on the streets, that is horrible. But then you're just making it even more twisted and awful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like the idea that the gas masks are like fused to their faces. Sort of like the idea that the war is never over, and it's like they're always in danger of being like bombed or like gassed or something. It's like, obviously they're not, but that's, I imagine a lot of people felt that way, that they never had those damn things off their face.
Yes, yeah.
Which speaks to the historical context.
Indeed, it does. It's almost, yeah. I mean, I'm slightly too tired and slightly too hot to think of a joke about modern day masks, but you know, we'll move swiftly on.
COVID. There you go.
Yeah. I've got a question. In this episode, Rose makes a bit of a jab about, can't you just do a scan for alien tech?
Yeah.
And then Jack does, the Doctor doesn't, and it's all about, oh, Jack's weird and all this. It's like, yeah, okay, great, but if you're looking for something that is definitely not from 1940s London, and it literally fell from the sky and crashed into the ground, wouldn't your best bet just to be to hover above London and look with your eyes?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the quickest and easiest? I know London's big, but the TARDIS is kind of it's a spaceship, right? You just hover it about over London and look with your eyes.
Yeah, and literally, they know where it is in the area. They know that it's very close to where they're parked, so they could literally just do that until they found it. But I suppose the Doctor's weakness is that he wants to explore as well, which actually is a an established character trait that he has. It was in the first Dalek story. He literally puts everyone's life in danger because he wants to explore a city, and that's how they get embroiled with the Daleks, because he's just so curious, which is fine, interesting.
What's that? It's. I know I'm going off on a much of a tangent here. We should have called this show Tangents. Instead of shouting into the void. Tangents. Because we talk about things, but then we spend most of the time not talking about them. But yeah, it's one of my great pet peeves in life is when people misremember the full version of a saying. And that thing you said about curiosity reminded me. People always say, well, curiosity killed the cat, as if to say, don't be curious, stay in your lane, do what's
Conform.
Right. The full phrase is... curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So that's meant to be the moral. Is you should look out for things because it might be dangerous and it might be strange,
it's worth it.
But you'll be a bigger person and a better person for knowing.
Yeah. So that's completely skewed in our pop culture. So everyone's just not gonna bother.
And another my personal favourite of these is the phrase "blood is thicker than water."
Yes.
By which is taken to mean family is more important than the friendships you form.
Right.
But the full phrase is that the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So it literally means the exact opposite of what we now take it to mean. Which, linguistics, I find it fascinating, but also infuriating. And somebody uses that as an argument. Well, blood's thicker than water. You should be kind to your family, respect your elders. Not if they're a cunt. That's the entire point.
That's what I would change. I would change the saying, blood is thicker than water, unless they're arseholes. I mean, that just... I'm not gonna, have some arbitrary fucking boomer respect for someone because they have more years than me. That's...
You haven't died? Wow, you're not dead. That's
amazing. Wow. You were born before me and are, know how to change a plug. Oh, so wise.
You were born at a time when you could buy a house for 30 pence. Oh, that's amazing. I am amazed.
Age is not wisdom, folks.
No, experience is wisdom. I think that's always been my sort of go-to on that sort of front. I know if there's anybody that's not in our demographic that's listening, this might be vaguely offensive, and I'm sorry if it is, but it's also kind of true in a strange way. It's respect should be
earned.
Yeah, and that's another thing about respect. Again, it's another one of these sayings. Respect should be earned, or if you you respect me, I'll respect you. But of course, there are two different meanings of the word respect. Be it respect as in treating someone like an authority figure, or respect as in treating someone like a person. And it's, well, if I treat you like a person, you should treat me like an authority figure. But no, that's not how that works.
No.
We should each be... just everybody be kind. That's what we're going with. It's Doctor Who. Everybody be kind. Be curious. That's what we're going with.
Be kind. There you go. Peter Capaldi said it best. I've got to say...
Google it.
Google it. I've got to say, I'm actually certain that Rose would just go off with Jack. She would just leave, and the Doctor and Mickey would form a D&D club together.
A D&D club?
Yeah, they would just sit about waiting for Rose. Rose jumps ship more than a fucking pirate, doesn't she? She's just she's like, oh, you didn't do alien tech, and she's desperately tempted to go off with this fucking stranger. Oh god, it would totally make sense, especially in this episode, if Rose just fucked off. Did she faint because of the sort of weird beam thing, or did she faint because of John Barrowman? Now, John Barrowman is a handsome guy, but you wouldn't fucking catch me fainting over him. You know?
I mean, yeah.
So,
I've always
what
thought
is
that
it?
maybe that whole thing about like women fainting in Victorian novels and stuff was like, I've always thought maybe it was because of all the like horrific clothes and diets and stuff they were forced to go on. It's like, well, in order to be pretty in Victorian society, you must rub lead paint on your face and wear a corset that crushes your organs. It's like, well, in that case, maybe you're just going to faint because that's horrendously unhealthy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not to do with anything else.
You've
Though
constantly got to knock over by accident little vases on stands and look at portraits of ill children praying.
oh, for God's sake! Right. What was your question?
I-
About
yeah,
Rose Tyler
yeah. So
painting?
I've got to say,
Transmat beam, I'd say probably.
see when like women faint and stories and all that. I've never seen a woman faint at the sight of a man in my life. So
I've never seen anybody faint
Yeah.
at the sight of anything in my life.
well, yeah, that's true. But it's like I think that's often just to sort of gratify the character that's being fainted over, because I don't think people faint over. I've never seen a person and felt a little bit faint. It's like they're so conventionally attractive that I just go, whew, and then I swoon.
Yeah, you do that thing. You put the back of your hand up to your forehead, and then you collapse backwards.
Yeah, yep. And I'm there to be caught by a person.
By John Barrowman.
Barrowman. Yep. If you faint, I'll be there. I like the idea that John Barrowman is like a fainting Santa Claus. Every time you faint, he just appears and goes, "Hey."
It's like Superman. How there's that thing about how he can't stand still, because like you can hear half a country away. There's like somebody, their house has just been set on fire, and he has to go and bolt and blow it out, and then come back. And it's John Barrowman. You're having a conversation with him, and then he just like his ears prick.
Someone's
up, and he just turns his
fainting.
head to the side. Someone's fainting, and then he sprints off, catches them, and then comes back.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Okay.
What is the point of the airships, the barrage balloons, whatever they are? What are they for?
I don't know. Let's search it.
Barrage
Oh,
balloons.
you got to it first.
It's a large unmanned tethered kite balloon. Defend ground targets against aircraft attack by raising aloft steel cables, which pose a severe collision risk to aircraft.
Yeah, I thought it was
Okay.
that. I mean, does Rose not know that the rope is attached to a fucking balloon?
Yes.
'Cause she
Also-
looks up
yes.
and then grabs it. It's maybe if I grab it for too long, I'll be hoisted away. And why is the child on the roof? What was it?
Yeah. Can the lonely... not the lonely... What am I calling? Who is
The
it?
timeless child.
The empty child. Can the timeless child teleport on top of buildings? Can you do that?
Of course they can. They came from a rift of... No, I'm not getting into that, no. I've got a note.
Go
The
on.
doctor's a Marxist, lol.
Yep.
Woo!
Marxism.
I noticed that and I was like, Lewis will notice that. Lewis will be like,
I literally have a note here that says Marxism woo. So that's good.
I'm not sure whether it's Marxism in action or a West End musical. That's such a good line, Stephen. Keep up. No, I'll save that today. I'll save that to the end.
Okay. I've got a
Go on.
question. Can anyone actually whistle like that? As in fingers in the mouth, hailing a cab like Superman, or in this episode, the child Nancy, what was that name?
Nancy, yeah.
Nancy. She put her fingers in her mouth and whistled for the other kids. Can anybody actually whistle that loud and like that? I refuse to believe.
No,
that's a thing that happens.
I know a guy who can do that.
That is ruined
Yeah.
my life.
I'm
That's disappointing. Okay, I've got a question.
Is there anyone apart from that guy who can do?
There's that part at the start where the family that live in that house, the mother is going, "Get into the shelter, get into the shelter," and then, I mean, the irony is not lost on me that she shouts at her husband, "Keep your voice down," while screaming. But you know,
Yeah.
what is being quiet going to do? They're in a plane. Planes, at least 1940s planes, are incredibly
Yeah.
loud. From a plane up where planes are in the sky, you are not going to be able to hear a man shouting on the ground.
Yeah, and I've also got to say, was the Blitz that dangerous? According to this fucking episode, because apparently you can just sit in a house for hours and just eat dinner and no one really cares. And it's like, what's the... I know that there's probably a greater risk if there's planes flying over the sky to be bombed to oblivion, but it doesn't seem as if they really care. Or maybe they have, let's say, it's not as many bombs as I thought it would be. Let's go and just eat some some leftover meals. And what time is it? Who the fuck is having their dinner at what looks to be about 3 o'clock in the morning? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's.
Why would it, well, yeah, it could just be the night
could
time.
be.
It could be the winter that this is
It
happening.
could be, but it's a long night
and-
because they go from the hospital. They go from. It's all over. They go to a hospital. They go to a house. They go to a sort of crash site. What time is it? When does this episode start?
Or maybe all these events are within a square mile of each other.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a square mile part of London where these events are all happening.
That would be very convenient, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. I've got a question. Why did a family of 3 have enough flatware ready to go for like 20 kids or whatever that was?
I don't know.
We have 4 plates in the cupboard. Granted, it is just me and my wife and a cat, but we have 4 plates in the cupboard.
And this is
Like, if 20 children came into my house, I would not have enough plates to feed them.
and this
off
is
of.
fucking 1940s Britain, isn't everyone meant
Yes,
to be
when everyone's under
rationing
horrific
and shit?
rationing, yeah.
Isn't
Although,
food meant to be
that's a good
incredibly
point, actually.
scarce?
That's a good point, actually. Though they talk a lot about, it's this beef or whatever it is. It must be off the black market. Look at how big
Oh,
it is. You couldn't
yeah.
get that on rationing. So maybe the mum or the dad or even the son is on the black market. Like he said, "Oh, do you want some? I don't know, whatever the 1940s equivalent is of Match Attack." It's like, "Do you want some 1940s Match Attacks?" And they're giving him a shoulder of beef.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good point. But it seems like it's not just beef that they're having. Like that. That's a lot of fucking food for 4 people.
Yes, it is. Well, 3 people.
Yeah, 3. Sorry, 3 people.
Yeah, it is a lot of food. I mean, I like food. I like cooking it and eating it, but good lord, I don't think I could eat that
No.
much. I don't think between 3 people, especially... I mean, I don't really know the history of the refrigerator or the home freezer, but I doubt you could store that much beef for anything more than 24
Yeah.
hours, really?
And that's in this day and age, as opposed to 1941.
Yeah, because, I mean, maybe this day and age you could cook it and then freeze it and then reheat it, which would be incredibly dangerous and you'd probably get some kind of horrific disease. But, I mean, they didn't have freezers in 1941.
No, they didn't.
So, I don't know. Feels very irresponsible for that young child with his 1940s equivalent of Match Attacks to be saying, "Yeah, I'll give you Ronaldo. He's not even been born yet. But in about 50 years he's going to be massive. So I'll give you Ronaldo, and then I'll have this shoulder of beef."
20 years to pop music, you're gonna love it. That's next episode. Sorry, folks. I'm breaking the rules.
God damn it, Danny!
Speaking of the year, the Doctor's history on the war is a little bit skewed, because he says that the German war machine is rolling across Europe, and it certainly was. And then this damp little island said no. It's like it was an empire that covered a quarter of the globe. It wasn't just a fucking wee daft island. It's like, no, you're not coming here, pal. You know, and wasn't like, when was it Germany like invaded the Soviet Union? Because I'm pretty sure they stopped like trying to invade Britain when Britain sort of pushed them back. I'm sure it was like in 1941 or something like that, when Germany just went, right, fuck this, we can't be bothered, and just decided to go east for some reason.
I don't
can't
know
remember my
the
history.
history of World War II particularly well. Although I have to say, this is a great excuse to wheel out my favourite World War II fact. There was like a plot during World War II to get German spies into the UK,
Yeah.
and they would like parachute in onto the moors or something, and then stow away all these parachutes and I presume military uniforms or whatever, and then go into the village they'd landed near.
Yeah.
And the first sort of group of them, the reason they got caught out, because it was 3 men who went into a pub at 9 a.m. and ordered pints of cider. And they just walked up and said, "Hi, 3 pints of cider, please." And the bloke just looked around his empty pub and was like, "What? I've never seen you before. And this village has 20 people living in it. What's going on?"
That's I thought you were going to describe the plot of Bedknobs and Broomsticks there for a second.
I don't know what Bedknobs and Broomsticks is.
Do you not? Oh
No,
my
Bedknobs
god!
and
It's
Broomsticks.
a film released a very
Oh no, I have. I might have seen this. 1971.
Everyone's seen that.
I'm aware of this film. I have seen this bed. I have seen... Like, I'm looking at a picture of what appears to be some kind of fantastical bed upon which a family is sitting and flying.
German spies are in it at the end, and they get defeated by like reanimated sort of knight's armour at the end. Okay. It's very British.
Angela Lansbury, who plays the female lead, played the teapot in Beauty and the Beast.
She did. That's true. She did. She also played the horrible step mother in Nanny McPhee.
Oh, I've never seen Nanny McPhee either.
Fuck you. No. Do you know what? See that sort of cider thing? It reminds me of a scene in Inglourious Bastards where Michael Fassbender is a British spy and he's speaking German. And there's this whole 10-minute tense conversation with an SS officer, and it's going really bad. And then, it's fine, because he's said some stuff and the SS officer believes them. And then he says, they're asking for glasses, and he says, "Try Gläser." And he puts... How would you signal that you want three things with your fingers?
I would put three fingers up, my index, middle, and ring finger on one. Well,
apparently the German way is thumb, index, and middle.
Oh, okay.
And that was the thing that tipped him off, and then it ends in a bloodbath. So, yeah. That.
Have you ever heard about? You ever heard the one about Roman soldier walks into a bar?
No.
Yeah, he looks up at the barkeep and sticks two fingers up and says, "5 beers, please."
Oh. That reminds me of a Lee Mack story. I'm going to tell this.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Sorry, folks, we're not talking much about Doctor Who today. We're talking more about whatever the fuck.
It's fine. It's a funny story. So when Lee Mack was starting out comedy, he went to sort of like open mic nights and stuff like that, and he did an open mic night and he was pissed, and he had to he asked for advice because he was so nervous and it was one of his first times, and they said, well, what to do is just start off with really shitty jokes. Just say, anyone in from Scotland? Oh, who paid for your holiday? Anyone in from Wales? And then say something about a sheep. Really shit jokes that are just below the belt crap, right?
Right.
And the name of the game is to make sure that someone from Kent is in. And then say, anyone in from Kent? And then hopefully someone says, I'm from Kent. And then he says, what did you call me? Do you get it?
Yes,
right. Okay.
I get that, yes.
So what happened was, Lee Mack went on stage, and he was very nervous, very drunk, and he said, anyone in from Scotland? And then someone said, I'm from Scotland, and then he forgot what to say, and he was like, hello. And same for Wales, and he was like, hi, like that. And then he said, anyone in from Kent? And someone said, I'm from Kent, and he said, well, you're a cunt. Oh, I love that story. I think it's funny. Yeah. But anyway, back to Doctor Who. I've ran out of notes. Fuck. Yeah.
I think I have too. Sorry, I've eaten ice.
I mean, I've done a segue to a funny story. Lewis has just stopped caring and has started eating.
I finished my drink and I took an ice cube in my mouth because I thought that story was going to be longer than it actually was.
Oh, you've been caught out.
I have been caught out, but rest assured, I've crunched up my ice with my unfeeling, aggressive teeth, and now I'm here to say that I also have no notes.
Yes, I've ran out as well.
I see. Well, I would like to say very quickly, I do really like this episode of Doctor Who. I know we've cocked about quite a lot during this episode, but I do really like this episode of Doctor Who. It's one of my absolute favourites.
So do I.
I'm looking forward to watching the second part of the two-parter.
As am I.
Because it's spooky as fuck.
Spooky.
And I like spooky Doctor Who.
I certainly do as well.
Plus the first episode had a cat in it. What's not to love about that?
Is it the first episode?
Well, this episode we're talking about now, there was a cat in it.
Oh yeah, so there was. Oh yeah, the wandering off
That was a
thing.
cat.
That's right. I'm gonna have to search that one, Lewis. I'm gonna have to. I'll find a cat in another episode
To see if there actually is a
yeah,
cat.
I'll have a look. Jack Harkness has a really good arc. I forgot to say that. I mean,
in this episode?
no, just in general, because he starts off as a sort of con man, and then he leads his own team in the vein of Torchwood and becomes a sort of better person.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Jack Harkness does have sort of a good team.
Yeah, so there you go. Don't say Intergalactic Dream Team. he sort of leads a team. So, do you have a closing statement, Lewis?
I do have a closing statement. A really emotive horror setting with terrifying villains, interesting characters, and fascinating ideas. One of my favourite standalone New Who stories, as much as it is not standalone, because it's a two-parter.
Yes.
Although it's kind of standalone because it's not tied into the Bad Wolf arc.
No.
Really. So I'm gonna carry on saying it's standalone.
Yeah, fair enough. A very creative story with great performances and writing. Keep it up, Stephen.
Yes, Stephen. We believe in you, Stephen. You're
just gonna go from strength to strength.
I'd love to see whatever he does next. I'd like to imagine he'll do like a reboot of some old Victorian story, like I can't about like Pride and Prejudice or something like that, or imagine if he did Sherlock Holmes. Imagine if he did Sherlock Holmes. God, I'd love that. Well, anyway, we'll see you later, Stephen. We believe in you, mate. You can do it.
I speak about him quite a bit now, but there's a YouTuber called H Bomber Guy who to the introduction of his Sherlock is garbage video, he said Stephen Moffat came out of a hole in the ground in Paisley and made it his sole mission in life to destroy all of British pop culture. So
that's frightening.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, so that was season 1, episode 9, The Empty Child. A genuinely good episode.
Yes, a genuinely good episode.
We'll fault you soon, Stephen. Don't you worry though. There's ones coming up.
Find something to be angry about. Come on.
But yeah, shill time.
Shill
Okay.
me. I'm going to eat some more ice while we
Right,
shill.
okay.
Can you hear that?
Oh, ASMR. ASM.
Beautiful.
Fuck. I am on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel K Actor. I'm on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis?
I'm on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I have a Twitter that's at LewisBrindley4. And my Facebook page is Lewis Brindley.
We are on Podomatic, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
That was almost Churchill. That's bizarre.
We are on Podomatic.
It is fog, man. It will lift.
We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Deezer.
What the fuck is going on in this episode?
We're on
Christ.
Google Podcasts. I don't know how Churchill would say Google. Google.
Good Lord, man. Haven't you heard of downloads? Says Winston Churchill.
This is Winston Churchill. We are on Amazon Podcasts now. We figured it out. We figured that one out.
We didn't figure it out. They sent an email to my email account. It was not. We didn't figure it out. They told us.
Up the revolution. We're
Winston Churchill, famous Tory. I feel like he would not be pro-communist revolution.
I know, but he's got a good sense of humour, doesn't he? We also have a PayPal donate button. We're on Patreon. And we want to thank our wonderful patrons, read in my normal voice. Chloe, Darius, Sophie, Peter, Aditya, and Richard. Thank you so much, you wonderful, wonderful people.
Yes, thank you so much, one and all. You mean the absolute world to help us support this podcast. And if you have suggested something in the Discord, or even just sending us a message on Patreon, you will also be on the most majestic spreadsheet that anyone has ever seen in the history of the universe, which you will be able to hear us talk about at great length in the other episode of the podcast.
We will fight them on the spreadsheet. There you go.
You know, that the recording of that thing didn't actually get recorded until 1951.
So wait, what?
That "we will fight them on the beaches" speech, he gave that in Parliament, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's just a stupid speech. We don't like that very much." But the actual recording that you hear now is because it wasn't recorded the day actually he said it for the first time.
No, but he said it again then.
He spoke it again, just him in a recording booth. It wasn't like any kind of event. He just said it into a recording booth for posterity's sake.
Yeah.
In 1951, he spoke that speech knowing they will win the war because they already did. So it sort of lends sort of a bit more confidence to the speech.
A little bit. It's 50-50 at this point. I mean, when you think about that speech, what you imagine is his voice booming over every radio in good old jolly Britain, and everyone with their tweed on and their patriotic jackets are just singing "God Save the Queen" as he says it, you know. But no, he was too fucking lazy to do that, so he waited until he won and then did it.
What?
I don't know, okay? I'm just going to end it there. I'm not gonna go on a tangent. I'm my own worst enemy for that kind of thing. That's
okay. Danny's losing his
that's
mind.
The one thing
That's
the one thing I need to work on. You know, because what I do is I'm presented an idea by my brain, and then I just sort of take it, run away with my shirt over my face, and it's raining. I'm probably going to get a cold, and then you end up with COVID. But anyway.
Yes, Danny, very good. Thank you very much for listening.
Whoa! What are you doing? We haven't even done the merch. We haven't done number 12 crochet, haven't you? You're jumping. Okay, Jesus Christ. We've got merch. We sell.
I thought we already had, because that tangent was so incredibly long, I'd forgotten at what point we were during the shilling.
Okay, we've got merch. It's a load of shite. Buy it if you want. It's t-shirts and that, and jumpers. Enjoy. And we, last but not least, are partnered with a fantastic company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue. Lewis, it's all yours.
We are indeed partnered with a wonderful company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue. It is run by my amazing wife, and she crochets, and she's incredibly good at it. The Instagram she runs is Chef's Kiss. Beautiful. Go and check it out. It's at Number 12 Crochet Avenue. She makes absolutely amazing stuff. The Instagram's beautiful. Give her a follow. Check out the stuff she sells. It is very much worth a look. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Definitely. Quickly, let's end the episode before I say something else.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week for part 2 of this 2-part episode.
Goodbye!
Bye.